Timothy Gormley, a code of ethics for business executives. Many professions have ethical codes, to include the medical profession, the legal profession, military, educators, students, and it's common amongst educated professionals. Now, that's not to say that there aren't many hats and sovereigns that adult citizens are responsible for and to. As citizens, we're responsible to our government to participate within it in a democracy. Also, we're responsible for upholding agreed responsibilities and obligations to include taxation, regulations, civil and penal codes. As family members, we're also obligated to respect intact and implicit obligations, social norms, and expected roles and duties within families. And we're also members of communities, and there we have to fulfill agreed and expected obligations as well as social norms there, whether it's in our church or our professional group. And lastly, within a profession, and the topic here is the ethical duties within for the management executive. Now, there are common cores of professional ethics, and the first is the non-abrogation of other duties and responsibilities. The second common core of professional ethics is the identification of a party to whom the professional is responsible. The duties relate to the professional competence of the professional. Relating to the business executive specifically, the fiduciary duties are to the shareholders, and from the shareholders, an ethical duty is owed to the representatives of the shareholders, to include the professional board and other members of the executive team. The shareholders are, in fact, your employer in aggregate, and the duties and the responsibilities that they owe to the government, to their government, as well as to those that they contract with, those are also passed down to the management professional, who is the representative of the shareholders. The common pathway for fiduciary duties, that therefore is that of the shareholders and their interests and their obligations. Professional responsibilities, which is used to construct the code of ethics, that is an inherent part of their specific training and the purview professionally of the management executive. So without further ado, ethical code number 1, full informational disclosure to shareholders. Knowledge is necessary for effective governance, and therefore it's an obligation of the management professional, an obligation of the executive, to make sure that information is provided in a clear, understandable, and unbiased manner. Ethical code number 2. The management professional has specific and assigned duties relating to their professional competence and training. Those duties have to be executed in good faith and with best efforts. Ethical code number 3, understanding and respecting shareholder valuations. It's the shareholders to whom the management executive is ultimately responsible and owes duties to, and therefore it's necessary that the management professional understand the shareholder valuations and respect them. Ethical code number 4, to be an honest and effective custodian of shareholder property. Shareholder property may be a capital asset, may be property, may be a financial asset. It can also be intellectual property, as well as the reputation of the company and the labor contractually purchased. And this is inclusive of the manager's own labor. The manager has an obligation to use this effectively. And lastly, ethical code number 5, an obligation of good conscience. If a situation arises where the management professional can't pursue or advocate these shareholder valuations, he has an obligation, or she has an obligation, to make this known, to reconcile if possible, and to resign if necessary. So that's the summary of my manager code of ethics. It doesn't abrogate other responsibilities. It's not antithetical to corporate social responsibility. It simply demands that corporate social responsibility be viewed through the prism and of shareholder interests, and advocate that to whom the manager owes their fiduciary duties.